a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss for the New York Knicks. Just so disappointing. And I'm not taking anything away from this Knicks team after this game. I'm not saying we're absolutely going to fall off to close out the season, or we're going to be one and done in the playoffs, or we're going to drop to the 6th seed. No, we're the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference for a reason. We've been playing some very successful basketball this season. This franchise has looked really good this season for the 2022 to 23 campaign. Not taking anything away from this basketball club, but tonight freaking sucked. Tonight was really disappointing. It hurt. It really did hurt, as the New York Knicks go on to allow 140 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves, the final score being 140 to 134, a game that was at Madison Square Garden, a game that the Minnesota Timberwolves did not have Anthony Edwards, as he was out with that ankle injury that he suffered a few nights ago up against the Chicago Bulls. I send prayers out to Anthony Edwards, one of the best players in the game. They continue to be out, continue to not have Karl Anthony Towns, as he continues to be out as well. So you're like, this is a winnable game. The Knicks are playing really good basketball. They just beat the Denver Nuggets. Or maybe this is a trap game. These players are in the NBA for a reason. Jalen Noel's in the NBA for a reason. Mike Conley's an experienced veteran. He's in the league for a reason. You have Larry Bird over there on the other end. I'm calling him Larry Bird because he freaking looked like Larry Bird tonight, of Taurean Prince. 8 for 8 from beyond the arc. He had 35 freaking points. He missed one shot all night. He missed one shot. I believe he was 11 for 12 or 12 for 13 from the field. He was freaking lights out from beyond the arc. But one thing we need to look out for with this Minnesota Timberwolves team is this team likes to get off to hot starts offensively, with Anthony Edwards or without Anthony Edwards. But obviously, this is a totally different team. You don't have freaking Anthony Edwards on your team. And I'm not calling them bad, but this team isn't world beaters or anything like that. They're not as bad as the Spurs or Rockets. They're not competing for Victor Wembanyama. But this is a game you should freaking win, especially after coming off of a win versus the Nuggets. So the Timberwolves get off to a historically hot start offensively. They hit their first 10 shots. I believe they don't miss a shot for like 5 or 6 minutes of basketball in that first quarter. It was absolutely nuts. And not like the Timberwolves are playing good defense, not like the Knicks are playing good defense. Like, both these teams were atrocious defensively, but the Knicks were even worse defensively. There were some moments that I'm like, that's decent defense, but they're hitting ridiculous shots. But plain and simple, we were terrible on the defense side of the basketball. We were absolutely atrocious. We made some adjustments a little bit in that third quarter, but then the fourth quarter, it looked exactly like the first couple quarters of basketball. We ended up being down 17 points early in this game. Taurean Prince is splashing it from the outside. Mike Conley looks like prime Mike Conley when he was with the Memphis Grizzlies with Zach Randolph. You have Jalen Noel that's going off. You have McDaniels that's going off. The 10 players that were in the rotation tonight, 7 of the players scored in double digits. Almost everyone freaking killed us on the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was an absolutely unacceptable performance. And we got to talk about the defense. Like, the defense overall, Randle, who was freaking awesome tonight. And Randle, yes, he had those questionable moments down the stretch. He did. He ended up picking up a tech down the stretch. He didn't grab a rebound. And yes, he needed to grab that rebound, but let's be real, he was probably freaking gassed. I'm not trying to make excuses for Julius Randle, but when you drop freaking 57 points in a basketball game, like, are we really getting, like, he's the main reason we're in the game. He was the main reason we were coming back. Those buckets he was getting, he was freaking fantastic. The entire bag. Dribbling between his legs, step back three, mid-range, attacking the basket. He was freaking insane. 57 freaking points on good efficiency. Yes, he didn't play good defense, and he didn't grab that rebound at the end of the game. And also, he left Taurean Prince wide open for a three. But it was way more than that. There was more things that happened before that, because we did have a 6-point lead at one point in that fourth quarter. But the defense went back to shit, and it's a collective effort at the end of the day. And it wasn't just Randle that made some questionable decisions down the stretch or made some pivotal kind of bad plays. Immanuel Quickley, who, yes, he scored the ball, but he was extremely inefficient in this basketball game. Immanuel Quickley went on to take a really dumb shot in the fourth quarter. He found a player at the three-point line of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was just not smart tonight down the stretch. He wasn't smart, and that was the second time in the game that he found someone at the three-point line. It's just unacceptable. We had a lot of dumb fouls in this game. In the third quarter, when it looks like we're coming back, which eventually we did, we got a lead. Shout out to Josh Hart for taking it coast to coast. Shout out to the two-man game with Isaiah Hartenstein. Quickly got a couple buckets. Obviously, Randle's freaking fantastic. In the fourth quarter, though, when he checked in, I believe he only ended up scoring 4 more points, but you could say he was gassed, and I felt we were just really forcing shit. I just didn't like the offense at all. I thought we were pressing too much in the fourth quarter. We weren't moving the ball, and you're kind of stuck in no man's land when your isolation basketball isn't working when you have Brunson and Randle on your team because they're meant to be ISO bucket getters. But in that third quarter, like when we're starting to score, kind of get a little better defensively, we were committing stupid fouls. Like we put them in the bonus when there were 7 minutes left in the third quarter. It's just not good situational basketball. And getting back to the defensive side of things, so we obviously allowed 140 points in this basketball game. We allowed 140 points, but we allowed 68 points in the paint. Where was Mitchell Robinson tonight? Mitchell Robinson was non-existent. Like defensively, he was awful. Maybe we missed some lobs finding him around the rim, but I believe he had 0 points. He played soft. I thought he honestly got bitched by Rudy Gobert tonight. I thought Rudy Gobert literally owned him tonight. Or just overall everyone defensively, though. We couldn't stop the ball. We allowed dribble penetration. But again, Taurean Prince, who's a solid player in this league, 35 freaking points, misses 1 shot. He's 8 of 8 from 3. He ties the NBA record of all time. All-time NBA record. Most 3-pointers in a game without a miss. Without a miss. 8 for 8 from 3. Going back to Randle again. He was amazing. It's just going through my mind. 57 freaking points and we lose. 57 points and we lose? Like that is just wild. That is wild. And he tied Knicks' record, I believe, for the most points in a quarter. In that third quarter, he went absolutely ballistic in that third quarter. He was freaking nuts. In that third quarter, I believe he scored 25 points. It was something insane like that. That was the second most points by Nick at the Garden behind Carmelo Anthony. And when I'm thinking about these signature performances of really great performances at the Garden that players went on to lose, Stephen Curry had, I believe, a 54-point night against us. But then the Warriors went on to lose. So if I'm trying to make some Knicks fans feel better, but it sucks because Randle dropped 57 points and we freaking lost. And we lost. But no one was good defensively. I thought our offense was completely fine, but it just came down to the defense. We were playing a little better defense in that third quarter. But when it came down to the fourth, the defense looked exactly like the first quarter. Like, it was just so unacceptable. Like, they were hitting some wild shots, though. They really were. But 140 points. 140 points. And how is Taurean Prince wide open for a big-time 3 at the end of the game when he's killing us all night? Why does quickly take that stupid 3 in the corner? I believe there was like 16 seconds left on the shot clock or a good amount of time on the shot clock. Hoist up a terrible shot. And there was one possession he had Josh Hart open for a 3 in the corner. Gave it to Randle. I know Randle was cooking, but it was like when it was entire clock. It was so clogged. There was no spacing. Shout out to Randle. He was pretty much the whole reason we're in this game offensively. And Randle's fantastic scoring the ball, but he didn't step up defensively. Pretty much no one stepped up defensively. I know RJ, though, he hit a big 3 in that fourth quarter, I believe, to give us even more of a lead, maybe like 3 or 4 point lead. But I wouldn't say he was necessarily good tonight. But a lot of players weren't good tonight. How about Quentin Grimes? Starts in this game, maybe didn't play a crazy amount of minutes, but we give Quentin Grimes 1 shot. 1 shot. He had a 1-shot attempt the entire game. Like, that's just unacceptable. That's actually disgusting that he got a 1-shot attempt all game. Outside of Randle, like Brunson, he went on to score, I believe, 23 points. He had a pretty big-time mid-range shot down the stretch. He wasn't great. He was kind of efficient, actually. I think he was 9 for 18 from the field, exactly at 50%. He had 8 assists as well. It's really hard to read offensive performances, though, when Randle was just going nuts like that, and it's just like, you have to give him the ball because he was just freaking going off. Shout out to Randle. He played his ass off, and I don't care, though. Like, you let your team, like, we let Randle down. Like, we got to have his back. We got to be better defensively. Quickly had to be smarter down the stretch. It wasn't just Randle that made some questionable decisions down the stretch. This game's just frustrating. It's just heartbreaking, honestly. Let me know down below your thoughts on this game. Peace out, y'all.